Hi! Today is your first lesson in level 1, and I hope you're ready to get started. Today's lesson is going to be a lot of reviewing, just to get us on a good foundation, and then we have a song to learn with a teacher duet, and we're just going to get started. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is review just a few things. In your lesson book, we're going to cover a bunch of pages, but I'm going to cover them in a little bit of a different way. So we'll use your book a little bit and use these other things a little bit too. So I want you to go ahead and find your map from the last level, from your primer level. And we've mapped all of these notes, and I hope that they're really familiar to you right now. What I'm going to do is just talk through a few things to help us remember where our notes are, and then we're going to do some flashcards to start this lesson. So here in the middle, I'm sure you remember middle C, okay? Now, down below the treble clef lines is D for down below these lines, so C, D, okay? E is our first line of our treble clef. F is our first space note. And then our treble clef circles around the G line. Okay, so there's our G. So with your map, I want you to now just point to these and say them as we do them. Okay, so C, we're going to move up to D, E, F, G. All right, hopefully those are in your brain, got them memorized, okay? Now, down below here in this bass clef, the king of our bass clef is B for bass, okay? He sits on the top of this clef. So down below D and king B, okay? King of the bass. So he sits on the top. All right, and now if we look down here, we've got our C pentascale, just like here, but it starts in the third space down. So here on the third space down, I have my C. D is in the middle. D is the dead center of the middle line, okay? So D is the middle line. E is the second space down. F, now this is called our F clef. So remember, this dot on our bass sign is the F note line, okay? And then just above that, sitting in this top space is G, and our top line is A. So if I started my alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And down here, it would start down here. We haven't talked about this note, but it'd go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay? So just remember these notes and where they are, and we're going to do a little bit of flashcard practice to get us brushed up here. Okay, I'm gonna hold our flashcards here, so if you need this map to help you out, you can use it for a little bit, okay, or use your map. So just remember, you're trying to say them before I say them. So I'll give you just a few seconds and then say the note. The first one is C. It's on my F line, so F. King of the bass, B. First space, F. Okay, second space down, here I'm going 2 down, it's my E. First space on the bottom, G. This is the dead center of the bottom, the middle line, D. And down below is D. My first line is E. Top line, A. Here's my G clef, G, middle C, back to the beginning, C. Okay, now I'm gonna kind of mix them up a little bit. And I want you to try to not use your map. So hopefully we've learned these well enough that we don't need the map. So I'm gonna go a little faster. B, F, E, G, D, C, C, F, D, E, A, G, B. Okay, I think we went through all of them, maybe even twice. I don't know. Kind of wasn't paying attention. All right, so we're going to talk through another couple things. It's just a couple other little flashcards, and make sure that we know what they are before we move into our other things today. So this two numbers on top of each other, this represents our time signature. So if you remember, the top note means how many counts in a measure, okay? The bottom note means which note gets one count. So I would have 4 beats in a measure. So I'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would have my quarter notes getting the 1 count, okay? Okay, here I have another time signature. So tell me, what note gets 1 count? Okay, hopefully you said your quarter note. And how many beats per measure? 3. Okay, now we're gonna name these notes. Okay, this first note is a quarter note, and it gets how many counts? 1. What is this note? Half note. How many counts? 2. What is this note? Dotted half note. How many counts? 3. If you remember, 2 plus the dot is 3. What's this note? Whole note. How many counts? 4. Okay, and this crazy symbol, what is it? It's our quarter rest. And how many beats does it get? 1. Okay, all right, and just a couple others. What does this F mean? This is a dynamic mark, which means play loud. Okay, what is this symbol? This is our symbol for bass clef or F clef. What is this symbol? This is a repeat sign. Okay, usually it's this way at the end, and then you go back to the beginning. Okay, so it's a double bar line with 2 dots as repeat. Here's another dynamic mark. I would play the piano quietly, softly. This double bar line means what? The end of a song. Okay, what's this called? Treble clef. And one more dynamic mark. This means mezzo forte, which is medium loud. Okay, and I think we have covered a bunch. The only other thing I want to talk about is our hand shape. Okay, I want to make sure I have a bubble in my hand. Okay, or a tennis ball. As I'm playing, I've got my fingers just so that they're rounded. Okay, and make sure you're sitting straight up and down on the piano. And one last thing they talk about in the book is a wrist float. Okay, so as you move to different spots on the piano, you're going to kind of float your wrist up. Okay. Now in your book, we're just going to look at just a couple spots. So if you are on page 5, you're going to have a little bit of work to do. So you actually get to go ahead and do this. We've just talked through all this, so I want you to write this in on your own, page 4. And page 5, you're going to do this little exercise. So stepping up, if I'm stepping up, I'm going from a space to a line or a line to a space. You're going to draw your notes, either stepping up or stepping down, okay? Now skips, if you remember, go from line to line or space to space. So you need to draw a skip down or a skip up, okay? You're going to just play this. Do 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 do. I'll give you an example, and then let's do a little example really quick. So there I was on my C pentascales, and that little, I'm just snapping, then skipping up to C. Okay, and then I would repeat that. Sorry. Okay, and we are not going to talk about this yet. And actually, these next two, we are going to skip as well. So these are a preview, 6 and 7, and we are actually going to wait to talk about them until we get to where we need them. So our only assignment for today is to do those review pages and that little exercise, and then we have one song, Firefly. And if you look at this, we're going to go ahead and say our notes all the way through this song, and then I'll give you an example of it with a teacher duet. So let's start here and say them with me. G, G, E, F, F, D, E, E, C, E, D, D, G. Continue to say them with me. Now we're going to go back and forth between our right and our left. C, G, D, G, E, G, F, G, G, F, E, D. Okay, now coming over here, left, our bass clef. G, G, E, F, F, D, E, G, C, E, D, D, G. And piano here. C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, D, G, C. Okay? All right. Okay, so my hands are going to be positioned here in our C pentascales. Okay, I'm going to count us off and give us an example. 1, 2, ready, go. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, We're going to go ahead and do that with the teacher duet. So you have 4 beats and then we begin. 2, ready, go. get this practiced up and do the duet, there's one more little thing in here before we end this lesson. If you look down at the bottom of this page, it's going to tell you to transpose this into the G 5-finger scale. Now, just a second ago, I just said, oh, we're just going to skip this where it talked about it. So, I'm going to talk about it right now. All right. So, what this means is instead of in the C pentascale, we're going to be playing in the G pentascale. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to move all these up. Okay, so instead of starting with your 5-finger on G, you're going to start with your 5-finger on D. Okay, so here's your little map. Now, you play it just like you would play this other song. Okay, same intervals, so it'd be a dun dun skip dun 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 skip dun 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 dun, dun but up higher. So I'll give you a little example of this, and just so you kind of can see what they're talking about. Now, this is an optional thing, but it is good to try. So we were here. Let's try to scoot my camera so you can see. Okay, so we were here. Now I'm going to move up to here. G, A, B, C, D. Now, I'm going to read my music. Not for the notes this time, but just kind of like the pattern. So I start on my 5-finger. 1, da, da. So I'm playing the same fingering, but I'm playing on different notes. And this is called transposing. I'm moving to a different key. So this is something that you're going to do after you've got this song practiced and you can play it with the duet. Then I want you to go ahead and try to transpose it. And it'd be a great activity to do before we move on. So that's the lesson for this week. Hopefully it's not too much to work on. You just have those couple of things to pass off, and then you can move on to the next lesson. So hopefully I see you on lesson 2.